Welcome back to Yaffee Live, Talk Radio 102.3. I am Tennessee's voice of reason, as you know, Chattanooga's conservative conscience. Glad you've joined the show today. If you miss any of the show live, well, check out the podcast anywhere it's available or at WGOW.com. And actually, the video of this interview will be right there at the front page of TennesseeConservativeNews.com because Brandon Lewis is joining the show. He's the founder, contributor to Tennessee Conservative News. Brandon, how are you?
Man, I'm great. Enjoying this seemingly summer weather.
Yeah, it looked like it was going to rain a little bit, and then kind of, I don't know, the clouds kind of went away. I was kind of hoping it would rain because the pollen is, I don't know if you have to deal with a
Yeah,
lot
we
of pollen
can.
up where you're at, but
Yeah, it's everywhere. It's a dusty mess. I'm in a bowl of trees, and so it shakes down on me for about 2 months.
yeah, yeah. All right, let's talk about some of the stories on your site. I had this in my bullet points too, as well, and I want you to tell me more about it. There's a bill eliminating the controversial intent to go armed provision in the Tennessee firearms laws, but it is dead for this session. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? What do you think?
It's a bad thing, and often when you see good bills killed in the Tennessee Senate, Todd Gardenhire is next to the steaming corpse. He's
Oh,
sheathing his rhino horn as he goes outside to continue to pretend to be a Republican. And so essentially, there's this weird piece of language in the Tennessee Code that says you can carry a gun as long as you don't have the intent of going armed, which makes no sense whatsoever. And it's very odd and it's confusing. And the
sounds
way
like
it's
it.
laid out, it's convictable, and it's really just a chink in the armor of constitutional carry, which is ultimately what people want to go to, which is what our Tennessee Constitution originally states. And it also prohibits guns where that language is in places like state parks. And as someone who is an avid adventurer in state parks, I will actually be in, I guess, the Cumberland State Park Saturday. When you're out there in the woods by yourself in the middle of the night, it is sure nice to have a firearm. I mean, you don't have any social protections. I mean,
Right?
even if you're in a campground, I guess you could yell while you're being attacked and hope for the best. Todd thinks his constituents could
Oh,
get by with that. And I'm sure Todd, like if you got in a spot in a Tennessee state park, Todd wouldn't be there. I mean, he can barely get up a flight of stairs without having to rest for 30 minutes. And so he ain't going to be
jeez.
there to help you. And so basically he killed this bill, and it's going to roll over. It can't roll over because they work in 2 consecutive years. It can roll over 1 year, and so Todd Gardenhire once again has single-handedly killed a piece of legislation that the Tennessee Firearms Association has diligently worked on. But that is no surprise to me.
Now, did he give a reason why he killed it or anything? I mean, this is part of the Senate Judiciary Committee. He was the chairman, but he unceremoniously deferred it. So, I mean, did he say why at all, or is just kind of quiet
Not
about it?
not to my knowledge, but Todd is omniscient and omnipresent, and if you don't think so, just ask him yourself. And so it's just he is constantly, I mean, he's had tons of bad illegal immigration votes this session. There are some politicians that will listen to their constituents and care and compromise or around to their way of thinking if there's enough, if they believe their district truly believes something. But Todd votes his conscience, regardless of what his constituents think. I mean, that has been the record that I have seen with him primarily most of his Senate career. He's had a couple of bright spots, but there are a few issues related to guns and illegal immigration where he's far more likely to vote with Democrats.
Interesting, because you're right. This is one where I would think the majority of his constituents would support it, and really the majority of people in Tennessee would support it.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, it's a head scratcher, but you know, you can't do anything about that. Like when a lawmaker has decided that his personal views trump the constituency, like there's really no getting through to them till you get rid of them.
very interesting. Continuing on here, you have another story. A Tennessee bill expanding parental rights in children's health care that has passed the Senate.
Yeah, it has, and it was a very simple bill, and it said the bill ensures that a child's parent or legal guardian can access the child's health care records, including mental health, medical treatments, rehabilitation, prescription records, etc. And this is primarily for all these bad actors out there who have corrupted children, boys to think they're girls, girls to think they're boys, even taking your kids
Right.
and putting them on uh, psychotic medications without, and they never want the parents to know the conversations they're having with the minors. And again, this is one of those weird votes. This thing completely passed the Senate because it makes perfect sense. It's in alignment with conservative values. And Randy McNally, who's the leader of the Senate, and Paige Wally voted with the Democrats against parents just having access to their kids' medical records. And so a lot of time, the companion bill is being carried by Michelle Renault, and it's expected to be heard on the House floor and will likely win. But one of the Senate is far less conservative than the House in Tennessee, and it all comes down from the leadership in both chambers. And Randy McNally is one of the least conservative Republicans in the state, and he's had an iron grip on that chamber for some time. And that's why people like Todd Gardenhire get positions on judiciary committees and other places, primarily because they're a reflection of Mr. McNally's views, as are most of the chairman reflection of Cameron Sexton's views in the House. And so hopefully with Randy saying he's not running for reelection, we can get somebody that at least has an open mind about listening to the constituency. And I hope that Bo Watson might be somebody that has their hat in the ring for that because he has proven that he is willing to do that.
Oh, that'd be great. Yeah, I hope so as well. It's kind of interesting though. It seems like you talked about his control over the Senate. It seems like he's already kind of lost that because they passed it without his vote.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose it's one of those things that would be real hard to vote against, but I mean, as a person's personal voting record goes in Tennessee, so does most of the instruction, inclination, and backroom dealing around those bills. So it's just very indicative. Like he voted against, voted for having gay pride flags in the schools, and he was the last person to come along in the legislature to pull back COVID regulations and things of that nature. So if nothing else, he has proven himself to be out of touch with constituency and in error as it relates to things when there's a critical decision to be made over and over again. But you spend 30, 40, I mean, I think he's been in there since 79, I
Wow.
think. I think, and
Before I
so,
was born.
yeah, when you've been soaked in special interest money for 47 years, you just get detached from your district entirely. And in the case of McNally, often when press ask him questions, detached from reality, like he's just very old and not with it. That's why he makes very few public speaking engagements, and those
Mhm.
that he does do are pretty painful to watch. He's not quite at what's his face, the U.S. Senate. Uh, See, that's how little I keep
Mitch
up with. I've already
McConnell.
forgotten his name. Mitch McConnell. He's not as bad as Mitch McConnell, but he's just he's
Yeah.
a couple of paces behind him.
Yeah. Wow, that's a comparison. Not as bad as Mitch McConnell isn't a high bar. It really is not. We are
Well,
talking about that.
if you
Talking with
set
Brandon
low
Lewis.
expectations, set low expectations, you'll always be happy.
Yeah, for real. We talked about though, despite Randy McNally, that bill was passed by the Senate. Another bill passed by the Senate. It requires some Tennessee sheriffs to honor immigration detainer requests. Talk about this.
Yeah, this is, I'll go through this briefly. There is another bill that is going through both chambers that would actually require all Tennessee sheriffs to enter a 280C, 287G
Mhm.
program. There was a fiscal note on this, and so I think Brent Taylor wisely curtailed it to the sheriffs to keep the fiscal note down. And basically, it says that if you are already in the 287G program, that you have to comply with the way it's set up, meaning a lot of people could be in the 287G program and I don't think that the relationship between federal and government is thou shall. I think it's like kind of a kind of a complementary and voluntary
Okay.
relationship. But this codifies the fact that, hey, you need to hang on to these folks above and beyond how long you were going to hang on to them anyway, and give ICE at least 48 hours to come pick them up. So hopefully that other bill will go through requiring all the sheriff departments to participate in it, and then this will effectively apply to those that enroll in that program by the other piece of legislation. So it's a good little 1-2 punch. But Brent probably just had to get through some procedural things related to
Makes
the
sense.
budget to get that through.
Yeah, and I know, Hamilton County Sheriff Austin Garrett said he wants to be a part of that program, which is good. It's one of those things that's almost sad we need a law, though, because, I mean, shouldn't you just help federal authorities anyway? If you're a local sheriff, and that what you should want to do in the first place. But of course, nowadays, unfortunately, a lot don't. I mean, we remember I heard from Tim Kelly, the mayor of Chattanooga, saying, oh, we don't want to enforce immigration law or some. I forget what he said.
Yeah,
Something to
well,
the
it's
effect.
basically like we don't want ICE in our community, and he's also the guy that put together that office. Went along with that program for liberal mayors, the Office of New Americans, because they didn't want to call it the
Yeah,
Office of Illegal Aliens.
might
And
as well. Yeah.
and then a few people got offered to come and speak, and I think maybe even a representative from Chuck Fleischman's offices and a bunch of people. Then it went public, and like everybody's like, "Oh, I didn't know people were going to know we were doing this," and everybody bailed on it. And so it's just like how can we help you skirt illegal immigration laws, and how can we get you benefits, and how can we get you federal program help and all that stuff. It was pretty disgusting, but we've got everywhere there's rhinos and blue mayors, you kind of have this pushback against stuff
Yep.
like this. So it is not uncommon.
Speaking of immigration, there are a slew of immigration bills kind of making their way through the legislature. We've talked a bunch about this, but they're still kind of moving forward.
Yeah, I will just run through these quickly, just to give you all an update. The HB 1710 requires citizenship check for taxpayer-funded federal, state, or local benefits. The Senate has passed their version of the bill. If the House passes their iteration, the governor will sign it. I imagine it'll pass in the House. Another one prohibits illegal aliens from operating commercial vehicles. The Senate has passed the companion bill. The last step is a House vote, and typically, if it passes in the Senate, if it's conservative, it will pass in the House. If it passes in the House and it's Rhino, sometimes, or passes in the Senate and it's Rhino, sometimes it will be stopped in the House. But like the Senate never stops a bad bill. The House is the only one in Tennessee that ever
Hmm.
you have a chance of stopping a bad bill on the floor vote. Another one ensures that applying for Tennessee drivers must speak and read English. I just wonder if they enforce that, what that's going to look like. And so it is scheduled for the Senate Finance Ways and Means Committee. Another one mandates all sheriffs participate in the 287G program, and it is scheduled in that same committee for April 21st, which is coming up next week. Another one takes commercial drivers off the road, and it has passed. The Senate passed its version, but it contained rather an amendment stripping the accountability mechanisms for employers. Imagine that. I'm sure nobody went and lobbied for that.
Uh-huh.
That originally was going to charge employers with a Class C misdemeanor, and they're like, "How could we enforce this?" And so the lobbyists, whoever probably went down there, spent 20, $30,000 to get that stripped out. So the transportation companies did a real good job with that. And then finally, another one criminalizing the doxing of immigration officers, and it makes it a Class E felony, and that is moving to be signed by Governor Lee, and that essentially means you can't give out their personal information just because they're out there doing something that you politically disapprove of, but that the federal government has mandated them to do, so that we can all be a nation of laws and not
Yep. Exactly.
favoritism. So that's what's going on. We've had some wins and some losses in this session. It's been better than some I've seen. This one has sucked less than two or three of them. So I'm happy. I'm
I'd
happy,
say that's.
guys.
I mean, from for you saying that means it was a good year
It is a
in
good year. It's a
perspective
good
because
year.
it's hard to get you to even get that far. So I like that.
Well, it's like gas station sushi. like if you were forced to eat it, if you were
Yeah.
forced to eat it,
Uh-huh.
there would probably be two or three gas stations. You're like, this is the least awful gas station sushi.
Yeah, exactly. I
Like,
love that.
let me make this recommendation to you. Would you be
Uh-huh.
happy about it? No, but sometimes again, you just get your
Uh,
expectations beat down in life, uh, and you just
it's
got to move
funny.
on and take what you can get.
Brandon Lewis is the founder of the Tennessee Conservative. Read all of his stuff, TennesseeConservativeNews.com. The video of this interview will be up there on the front page tomorrow, TennesseeConservativeNews.com. Brandon, appreciate it. We'll talk to you again next time.
Take care, buddy.